It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Grizzly.
Hey, Grizzly. How are you?
Everybody. Well, I got Mid Florida Bigfoot Team here live, Maria.
Yeah.
And everybody's just dropping off like flies. What happened? There's Mike. All right. There he is. Let's play Hollywood Squares here. Hello, Sonia. Hello. How's everybody doing? Sorry, I'm late. Hello, Tammy, Crazy Witch. So how's everybody been doing?
Not too shabby.
Yeah, they're like, you were telling the truth. You were late for another show. Yes, Crazy Witch, I was late.
Yeah, that's surprising. I thought I was going to be late, and nobody was here when I got here. I was like, was this the link for today's show, the 7 o'clock show?
So everybody's dropping off like flies. I have no idea what's going on. I done blessed my studio with holy water. I done broke another studio screen for my doll. So yeah, everybody's just dropping off. So what's going on, Marie?
I can't hear you very well.
Hear me.
Wait, that's better.
Testing. Hello. Now, Lil, can you hear me now? Let's party, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the house. Crazy Witch. Can you hear me at all? Yeah, I can hear you.
There's like a double show going on.
A double show going on. Sonia, do you hear an echo?
I don't.
Yeah, there's a double show going on.
A double show. Well, let me check.
The echo.
There.
Now can you hear me? Testing.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Everybody says it's all good on their end.
Oh, no, it's doing it again.
That is weird.
We don't hear the echo. It might be on her end.
Ruby, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but not real good, but I'm using my phone. Can you hear me okay?
Do you hear an echo or anything?
I don't hear an echo. It's just like you're far off.
Yeah, I'm using my phone too, and it does sound like that. It does sound far off.
I just have to listen real close. So if I lean in real close, I'm just listening.
Well, I mean, I can turn up my mic a little bit. Is that a little bit better if I turn my mic up a little bit? Does that help?
I think it's just my phone.
Okay, I don't want to like blow people's ears out. Standing Stones, can you hear me okay? Crazy Witch, can you hear me? Tammy, can you hear me? Sounds good on the other side, they said. Okay, well, everybody just like disappeared. So, well, welcome to the show. Dear. So I don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully they are coming back. So interesting. Everybody, like, I come to the show and everybody just like bails, like, peace, I'm out.
They're having technical difficulties. There's a lot of solar flares, and it's still messing a lot of people's stuff up.
Well, Mike and Marie were having trouble getting in.
Well, there's Chris. Chris, can you hear me now?
There's Chris.
You hear me? I can hear you guys. I couldn't hear you guys before. I couldn't hear anything. I was having some.
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you hear an echo, or anything?
Well, now
Hello. Okay, just want to make sure. Maria said she kept hearing an echo. I don't know what's eating. And speaking of her, here she is. She's back. Now can you hear an echo?
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
All right, good.
All right. Now let's play some Hollywood Squares. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Let's move some people around here. There we go. All right. Now I don't see Mike. Mike did not come back in. So what's going on in your all's land down there in Florida?
Oh boy, all kinds of things. It's been like 4 months since the last time we were on your show?
So too long.
Yes. Too many things going on in Florida.
I know. So what's going on? Any new activity? I've seen a bunch of photographs and pictures. Oh, yeah. And I've seen a lot of pictures with you with famous people. Yes, I've seen all those. Yes. There goes a cat ball. So I knew it was going to fall. So yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah. So I think we were last with you in January.
I know.
And so since then, let's see, one of the things we did in March was we had our David Shealy Everglades Skunk Ape meeting down in Ochapee, which is the Everglades, Florida. So that was a huge success. It was a very intimate gathering. And we had some very influential people from the Everglades who came in. Of course, we had David Shealy. We had Betty Osceola. She's a Miccosukee Indian, and she's in the movie Path of the Panther. She's on several, documentaries and stuff. She's she's a activist as far as, the Everglades, conserving water, keeping developers out of there, and the animals and stuff like that. Right. And then we had Dusty Crum. He is a python hunter, and he's on a couple TV shows on serpent invasion and Guardians of the Glades. And we had Thomas Lockyer. He is a historian of the Everglades. And we had David's animal reptile caretaker named Sonia. So she was walking around with baby gators and snakes and reptiles and stuff that you could pet and check out yourself. But what was really amazing about all that is that all of them, except for Sonia, has experienced skunk apes, had their own personal skunk ape story, which I didn't know about. I wasn't expecting that. It just turned out that way, which was really amazing. Betty Osceola talked about how, she was in a bunch of palmetto palms and she came face to face with one. And so it was just, and, Thomas talked about the history of the skunk apes in the Everglades. They've been reported. The first report, I think, was like in the 1800s. An official report that was in a newspaper or in some kind of publication. So it was really good. We sold out and it was just fantastic. It was just really good. So that was awesome. And then in April, we had the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference in Ocala, Florida. So we had a team table there where we had our casts and everything. There was over 2,200 people at that conference. It was huge. It's the biggest one they've ever had in Florida. So that's pretty impressive. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so Dr. Meldrum came over and looked at our casts. And so did Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot. So he came to our table and they were impressed with the stuff that we have found out there,
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. We were so busy that day. It was just craziness. And then since December, this has been ongoing for like 3 months. We decided to do a David Shealy, a research study about the David Shealy sighting that he had in the Everglades on July 8th of 2000 in Big Cypress. And that's the one that's on YouTube. It's a 2-minute video clip. It's actually the original's longer than that, but what's on YouTube is 2 minutes. And you can see the skunk ape moving through the water. Of course, everybody thinks that, it was just running on dry grass or something, but no, in the Everglades in the summertime, there's at least 1 to 2 feet of water out there, and that's not grass, that's sawgrass, which is at least 3 feet high, can be up to like 5 feet high. And it's treacherous out there. It's extremely harsh conditions. So we did our own reenactments to see if it was even possible for us to do it in the dry season when it's dry out there. And Mike and Chris did the reenactments, and one of our other researchers, Thomas Brandon, did it. So, Mike and Chris, do you want to talk about that reenactment that you guys did?
That
Go
was
ahead,
a lot.
Mike. Start out.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I said
Mike.
that was a lot of fun. I can tell you, anybody who thinks that was a person in a gorilla suit, they've never been to the Everglades. Because I'm pretty convinced that if you get out there, it was hard enough just getting out there walking through that grass. That's not like normal grass. It's like a foot thick of just mangled up grass and then water below it. And that was the dry season. During the wet season, it was 2 foot deep out there of water with the grass. The grass came up to me. If you've ever seen the video, which I'm sure you guys have, it comes up to my shoulders, the grass. That thing, it was coming up to its waist. And if you're in a gorilla suit walking out there in the Everglades, you're probably going to die. I didn't walk. We walked half as far as that thing did. And we did it in 3 times as much or 3 times longer amount of time. It was hard.
Wow.
Yeah, we figured Mike and I are a little out of shape, so we brought Thomas in to do a second one. He's a lot faster. He did give him a little bit of run for his money, but Thomas couldn't even beat him in the dry season.
Yeah, Thomas is he runs in terrain. He's a trail runner. So he was the perfect person to bring out there to try to do it himself, to see if he could do it, because, Mike and Chris, they struggled with it in February. And Thomas did it in March, and he still couldn't run the whole thing, And
it was still very hot, even during those times of the year. So I can only imagine trying to dress up in a gorilla suit in July, running through water of the Everglades. It's impossible. Literally impossible.
Imagine how much that thing would weigh after it got soaking wet from walking through the water out there too.
And honestly, Florida's pretty loud and proud about the stuff that they do. Somebody would have come forward by now and been like, "It was me,"
Right, exactly. See, David Shealy. Hey, how are you? Thanks for showing up.
Hey, Dave.
We're talking about you.
Yeah, somebody's ears were on fire there. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it was incredible. And another thing is the grass is also mashed down. You've got the grass that's sticking up, and then you got the grass that's mashed down. Like Thomas said, came all the way up to at times up to the top of his boots. So he couldn't move his feet in order to try and run. And, Chris and Mike, they encountered mud out there. There's, dips and holes and things to trip on and step on. And, it's just crazy.
What was pretty cool, though, is we found a game trail right in the exact same location that the video was shot. There was a really active used game trail out there, and we found foot impressions that I'll have to give you some of those pictures here. I can't do it right now, obviously, but we caught a lot of footprints out there too. Really cool.
Really?
And they were unique. They weren't like ones I'd normally seen. They were short and wide. They weren't much. They were probably only about 10 inches long, but they were like 6 inches wide. And they were almost as wide. They were almost as wide in the back as they were at the front. All of them. It was really weird.
That makes sense if you're walking on water and walking in that mud and that stuff. You need that. That's more, true. The placement.
Right, right. Yeah.
Think less.
A big flat foot would definitely get some traction out there better than I did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a struggle. And July 8th of 2000, that time of year, it's the wet season. There's, like I said, it's 1 to 2 feet of water, but the feel-like temperature was at least 109 degrees with 75% humidity. It's miserable.
And what would that temperature be? What would the temperature be inside that gorilla suit?
Exactly. you know,
150.
Yeah. And you're wearing a suit and you're running through water, so it makes the suit even more heavier. And this skunk ape traveled a long distance.
And fast.
And very fast. Yes.
Now we have to give it credit that Johnny was drunk and he had that water propellant spray on the outside of the suit, so it didn't get wet.
No.
So
No.
And
But
Johnny
what's-
better have a little jet engine. That moved.
You know,
If he was part airboat.
a couple of the compelling things that stuck out in my mind when I see the video and witnessing what Mike, Chris, and Thomas did is that, you know, when Chris and Mike and Thomas were going through, they were looking for the best place to make the next step. So they weren't running or walking straight arrow, you know. But the skunk ape was. The skunk ape is just plowing. It's just going straight. It's on a mission, you know. And it didn't look down when it was running. A human running through water would be looking down to see if they're going to step in a hole, trip on a log, step on a gator, you know. And this thing did not look down at all when it ran.
I never noticed that. You're right.
Yeah, it just looked straight ahead. You could look at its head. It does not look down at all.
I'll be honest. I was looking for panthers, alligators, and snakes. Oh my!
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I was out there with Thomas, and I said to my son was out there with me the second time, and me and him were hiding kind of in behind, so nobody, the video camera couldn't see us from them recording. And Thomas is walking up, and I'm like, I was just telling Kaylin, do you imagine how easy it would be for a panther to be hiding out here in this grass? And Thomas looks at me, he's like, thanks, man. I just like, well, that grass is so tall, you couldn't
I
see
did
it.
see him a couple times looking over his shoulder, like, I don't know if he heard something.
We saw bear print. We saw bear tracks out there.
All right, well, maybe that's what he was looking for. So
there were bear tracks out there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Everything in the Everglades wants to eat you.
Yes, that's what I always say. Everything's out to kill you. Everything's out to eat you. You know, pythons and gators and crocodiles and
everything but the Bigfoot.
You know, there's everything out
We
there.
got a monster alligator print. We should have had a picture of that.
Oh yes, that was fantastic.
Things as big as your head, Grizzly. This one alligator print, the back foot of it was probably, I don't know, how long is that, Mike? We would say
about 14 inches, I would say.
yeah,
14.
long, tall.
It was
probably about 6 or 7 wide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was big.
My gosh.
Yeah.
And Mike casted it, and we are so glad that he did because it turned out perfect. You can see the alligator hide, the texture of it. You can see the claws. It's an amazing cast. It really turned out fantastic. I'm so glad Mike casted it.
So I guess you got a lot of practice of casting, eh?
Right, Mike?
If it's cool looking, I'm going to cast it.
Exactly.
Well, you know, a lot of people always tell me, I always try to cast. If it always, I don't mix it right. I break it. I do this. I do that. Mm-hmm. And I tell them what you do is you go to the creek, take off your shoes, and walk around and practice.
Yes.
Put twigs in it.
Yes.
Put stuff in it.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, reinforce it like, you know, rebar or something.
Yeah.
You know, try different techniques.
And that's what Ruby and I did when we found, remember Ruby, when we found that print last June by the root ball, we actually stuck some pine needles because it was a shallow print. We stuck a bunch of little pine needles or little tiny sticks that acted like rebar, and it helped keep it together. You know, we pour a little bit of it, then we put the stuff down, then we poured the rest of it. And yeah, it held up very well so far because we did that. So,
see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not as ignorant as I look sometimes. So yes. So how's it working with his new microscope? Is that helping out any?
Yeah, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to talk about your microscope?
Yeah, I talked about it on another show. Yeah, we kind of stumbled across a hair floating in I don't know how Mike saw this, just a perfect little curled up hair in a spider web as he's walking by. I think it caught the sun just right, and he's like, "Is that a hair?" So we collected it, got out our gloves, envelopes, some tweezers, and put it in our little envelope, labeled it, and I don't know, something just told me, let's just make sure that anything could be out here. It could be possibly from a palm. So I grabbed a little hair off of a palm, fiber, and we collected that as well, and went back and checked it against. It matched. We debunked it. It was just palm frond, but at least if we have some evidence out there, we can analyze it and put it to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're collecting our own data. We're going to start keeping samples so we can compare them with others. And you took a hair from your daughter's hairbrush, right?
Yeah, I was going to pluck it out of her head, but I was going to figure it'd be nice.
That's what I said to do.
I didn't want to get DCF calling on me or something. But yeah, I took it out of her hair because I'm like, she's a redhead, so I'm like, that'd be the perfect color to check against. And yeah, it was funny because you can see right through her hair. It's translucent, where the other ones, when I put the bottom light on, it basically looked like a silhouette. You could not see anything. It was just black on the white background. So I had to turn on the top light, and that's why it kind of gives it that weird chrome look. As I moved it around, it didn't always look chrome. It was just the way the light was shining off of it, but it was solid. It was just a piece of fiber, plant life. But yeah, we're making a whole database. Every time we collect something, put it in a database when we collected it, and just keep track of all that good stuff.
Chris is getting organized. Chris is getting us organized.
Yeah,
Don't even talk about the app.
I like the logo behind them too.
I know. Look at that logo. Jeez.
I know.
So all you got to do is go into the settings, and you can actually upload your own picture, and it'll do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So all you can do that.
We're not as crafty as you, sir.
Yeah.
I know Grizzly's back there. He's got his fabric ones he changes between each show, and I'm like, Grizzly, you don't have to do that, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I
Go
do.
to settings.
Now this one is wrinkled because my dolls collapsed my photographer stand during my show.
Yeah.
Just earlier, before I went on the UK show earlier. And I was getting ready to go live, and I had to throw holy water all up on my studio on the dolls and say a couple of prayers, and it collapsed. And thank God I had backups, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to put that up, and then I'll go to the live, and then I had the same problem. I had no audio, and I was like, so I had to reboot, and I had to throw holy water up there again. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, so every time my audio acted up, I would throw holy water and it would stop. And they're like, "That is crazy." I'm like, "I'm going to do a cleansing."
Dolls or something?
Yes, I do. Yes,
oh
I
my
do.
gosh!
He collects them. He's got a whole shelf of them.
Nice.
Ruby, those aren't haunted, are they?
No. I
see all these dolls behind Ruby. I'm starting to wonder now.
Ruby.
He made Ruby look.
If they start moving,
we'll let you know.
I'll be buying some of that holy water.
I'll send it to you. You don't have to buy it. Don't drink it, and don't put it in anybody's drink.
You guys are into all that.
So it works. I'm telling you. That does.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool.
Yes, I know. Barb, I tried joining your Facebook group and standing so. Oh, that's Barb. Okay. Yeah, your Facebook group too. What is the name of your Facebook group, guys?
The Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. As you can see, let's move all the way, Chris. There you
That's
go.
exactly why I said that. That's right. Make sure and sign
Thanks,
up,
man.
ladies and gentlemen. West Coast, welcome.
Yes.
Oh, damn, Grizz, didn't know you were having Marie and her crew on. Holy mookie, yes. Absolutely. Wishing you the best of the skunk ape, Bigfoot, hairy man, and everything. Yes, in Florida and South. Yeah, absolutely. Man, we have everybody on. I do not discriminate against anybody. So, absolutely. So, hello, Lady Wolf, Standing Stones, and Barb. Welcome. So, what has been really interesting since y'all been out there since the last time I spoke to you all?
So, Mike, you want to talk about the gifting area?
Oh, what did you do?
Which one? Which time?
No, you just want to talk about what's been going on out there.
Most recently, with the last, that we can do that. We can talk about the one from last time. We talk
about the fence. We talk about the candy being gone, stuff being moved.
I've talked before about our gifting area out there that we have in an area I've been going to for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years, at least 2 years, and something has been getting a lot more playful and interactive out there. And every single time I do something or we go out there, and like I think they really like Ruby too now. Like Ruby is like they're giving them all the candy.
Goodies.
I like Ruby. She brings snacks.
She got all the snacks. But every time we put something out there, it's always gone, which that's always happens. But we've been playing around. Like I found a football out there and a little kid's rake and some other things, and I've been playing with it every time. I set it up a different way, and a little teddy bear, and every time we go back, it's moved or it's rearranged, and I try to hide stuff like with it too. I can make little fun things to do with it. And last time the teddy bear was gone, completely moved, and we found him about 30 feet away, 40 feet away.
Yes, with the tags torn off.
Yeah, with the tags, just the two tags.
That's interesting.
Torn off and ripped in half, right? 2 or 3 pieces.
And poor little guy was upside down.
That morning they went there. I wasn't there that day. We had tropical force winds come through the storm. So it had to have just happened, or else those little non-wet tags would have flown away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now, those tags are hard to rip. First off, and to rip again.
Mm-hmm.
They ripped them right off the seam, right where it was sewed to.
Right, and then ripped in half. So
wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just sitting right next to the bear, and the bear was face down. They were like, "No, we don't like you."
Well, there's always rumors that they have a lot of animosity with bears, so maybe.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
I get confused with bears too much. Yeah. Bears.
You should try little monkey.
But yeah, there you go.
You guys are more than welcome to talk about anything I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting a lot today.
So a few months ago, we could repeat stuff because some of these people haven't heard what you've said.
Yeah,
before.
no, absolutely. Yeah.
A couple 2 or 3 months ago, we went out there and there was an empty eggshell that was mounted on top of a cypress knee.
Wow.
A chicken egg. Now, the closest, there's a chicken coop out there, but it's what, like 100 yards away?
Or more.
The gifting
Probably
area?
more.
At least.
Yeah. And raccoons eat eggs or whatever, but you know what? A raccoon took it from 100 yards away, ate it over by the gifting area, and then climb up the cypress knee to stick it right on top.
Perfectly.
On top.
Like without cracking it. It looks like it was sitting on top of a cypress knee. Just explained to you guys is part of the cypress tree next door. It actually starts growing another tree, and it looks like just like a cone. It almost looks like a stalagmite or stalactite or whatever, whichever one
like
grows up.
A spear or something.
So it's sitting right on top of this thing.
Like no business.
Oh yeah, they're
Another
brutal.
swamp hazard.
They're brutal, but yeah, it was sitting right on top perfectly. Not a crack on it. It was just the bottom of it had a hole, and it was sitting right on it.
It was just sat right on top.
About what? Probably 4 months ago or so. That same, because what it is there's a fence that I walk down the side of this. We walk down the side of this fence that takes us back to the woods, and the fence is protecting I think county property or electric company property. So we don't go inside the fence, but we're allowed to go on the back to go into the public property in the back. And that's where the what do you call it? The chicken coop is. Well, one day I was walking back there and there was at least 20 eggs that were cracked open that were away from the chicken coop though. They weren't there. They were the chicken coop's inside the fence. The eggs were, it looks like they were handed over the fence and then ate about 10 feet from the fence in the same spot, all of them. Like something just sat there and ate all the eggshell, and all the eggshells were on the ground.
They were piled up? Were they piled up? Or
they were all, they were pretty much piled up. Some of them were scattered just a little bit, but they were all right there in one area.
But they,
Like
they
something
weren't
just-
throwing. I was with you,
They weren't
Mike.
throwing.
They weren't throwing like over the fence and like you
Right.
could see a splatter or anything. They were cracked open like halves, and just perfectly they were. Well, yeah, it had to be about 20 of them.
Yeah, it looked like somebody just cracked and ate it and dropped it. Cracked, ate it, and
Mhm.
dropped it. But
It was weird.
how did they get from the chicken coop over the fence to where they were eating?
Yeah, we have chickens, and anytime predators get into there, they make a mess with eggs. Like if anything gets it,
Right.
it will make a mess. There's egg on the ground.
Yeah,
There's eggs strewn around. There's, you
These
can
were like
tell.
these were like secretly grabbed out of there and handed over the fence.
Yeah,
It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
mine leave the eggshells in piles. I have a family of Bigfoot that live out here, and they pile up. I give them eggs. I've been giving them eggs recently because I guess I just never thought about doing it, but yeah, but they leave them in a pile usually. And a
Really?
lot of the time, at the bottom of them will look like it's like got a hole in it, like it's been sucked out.
Right.
So
And
you
that's
don't know
the
all
way
the
the
time.
one is on the cypress knee. That's exactly what it is. It's like a hole, like something sucked it out of there.
Yeah, they
Crazy.
stick it
That's
right off the bottom.
fascinating.
And
That's fascinating.
that's a really cool way to eat that egg.
One of my favorite things, though, at that spot, like a month ago, Mike, the fence, the barbed wire. Remember the poles were
Oh,
bent?
yeah. The whole
The
section of fence.
this fence also has barbed wire on it, and it has these secure posts that the barbed wire attaches to. Mike noticed that where the barbed wire was, the posts have been something bent those posts to knock down the barbed wire portion of the fence.
And they're steel.
You can't move that metal.
Like top 6 inches where it just crinked over.
Oh, we can't move it. And something bent it all the way. And you can't get back there with a truck or anything. So something did 2 of them.
And the fence, the entire fence, one section of it, looks like something sat down on the fence. Instead of, if you push on metal like that, it's going to kink if you bend it. If you try to push down, it's going to kink. This wasn't kinked. It was like perfectly, bent, like something big with a big butt sat on it, and it went, And then the other part of the fence,
About an 8-foot section dented. It was
And
just
there's
belly down.
There's a new game trail there too, right?
Yeah, there's another section that's knocked down with a tree on it, holding it down, and there's a game trail going through it. Now it looks like they made an opening for deer to come through. It's weird.
Mhm.
I think they're using that tree, perching up in the tree, watching the deer to come through,
And then pounce on them.
jumping down on them.
But it's amazing that the barbed wire portion was bent all the way. I mean, not just like slightly bent, it was totally bent in half. 2 poles, about a 30, 40-foot section. It's incredible.
There's no barbed wire on any of that fence all the way around a whole like 3-acre place. All the barbed wire has been taken down. They don't like the barbed wire.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mike, what about the other part of the fence that's pulled upwards? I'll let you tell that one. The other where they made the hole on the underneath side of it
Right. Uh-huh.
that Ray crawled through.
That I crawled through a couple of years ago.
The one, it looks like they did a He-Man stretch on it. Grabbed it with 2 hands and went, and the fence is just open. It's about 3 foot tall by about 2 foot wide section. It's just like the fence was. It's not cut. It looks like it just was grabbed and ripped open.
But from the bottom portion,
bottom.
they ripped it up, and it's like an arch now from the bottom. And it pulled it so hard that it stayed there. Right.
Wow. That is crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This edition is brought to you by Western Kentucky Bigfoot Paranormal Investigations, LLC, by Mr. Don himself. Thank you, sir. That is interesting. Did y'all get a picture of that fence?
Yes.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
one. I don't have one.
Yeah,
I would
we
love
saved-
to see that.
Hold
I
on,
would
let
love
me
that.
see.
Is wild.
Do you have it, Chris?
I don't know if I've got it on the computer.
I'm
Let
gonna
me take
see
a
if
look.
I can.
I don't think I have it on video. I don't have still pictures of it.
Yeah.
Now,
I do.
if you got on video, you can still hit it and share and present it with that little button down there at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
Chris
I
is-
Actually, I know I had it on my old phone that went swimming not too long ago. It's toast.
So I don't know if you can see this or not. This is the teddy bear. This is the teddy bear. And
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah, I
tags
see
are
it.
right there. And there's the teddy bear. And there's the tag. Tags right there that were ripped off. Oops. Trying to get. Oops.
That's wild.
Yeah. So, and then I'll show you the pole.
If you want to send it to Facebook Messenger, Marie, I can actually share it.
I
Oh, you
can't. Do
can't.
it. No.
She's been
One
having
day
problems
we will
with her
be
Facebook, too.
completely prepared.
Okay.
You're right.
See the
Oh,
pole?
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that took a lot of force.
Yeah, you think? And there was two of them. You
Yeah.
can see the barbed wire.
That's the fence that's squatting down, and see how it's looks like something sat on it
Yeah.
right beside it. But
You'd have
those
to have
little
a-
tabs, that's the little barbed wire tabs that are hanging down straight. They're drooping straight down.
I
Those are
mean,
supposed to be standing up.
that's incredible. That's like steel, right? That's
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Galvanized.
Yeah.
Which is even stronger.
You'd have to have a metal bending or basically a rebar bender in order to get it to
We're
curl
talking
like
one
that.
hell of a breaker bar, Chris. Come on now.
Yes. I'm serious.
You guys want to see the footprint from the Everglades?
Yeah.
We're gonna get it.
Hold on here. Let me do this the right way.
I'm gonna try and send this to you, Chris. I don't
Hold
know
on here. Let me blow you back up. There we go.
if you can.
If I can figure
Wow.
out how my camera angles go. There we go.
Yeah, that is wide, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's that three-toed thing.
Are there
We're like a flat bottom boat. They have to have them flat feet to be able to walk on that terrain. You know, that's
Is
really
it
cool.
inbreeding, or what do you think it is? Are you seeing more of that down there, or
That is
David
what it looks
Shealy
like out
gets David Shealy gets a lot of three-toed prints down there, which are just,
Four-toed.
or four-toed. That's right.
Four-toed.
Well, I've seen a couple three-toed weird ones out there too somewhere, but yeah, Shealy gets some interesting ones for sure.
Because I don't know if anybody, knows that much about skunk apes, but they're different than the Bigfoots typically
Right.
are. They're smaller in size, they're skinnier, they're scrawny, they're usually 5 to 7 feet tall. But they have to be skinny and scrawny and stuff like that because of the heat.
I don't know if I'd say scrawny.
handle
I
them.
would say lean.
Lean, yes.
All right, Grizzly, share my screen.
Yes. All
there
right.
we go. Sharing screen.
Yeah. There's a better picture of the barbed wire pole
I
that
mean,
was
look at
bent
that.
over in two
There-
places.
I
And
mean, that looks like it's twisted.
there's
Yeah.
no way to get back there other than I don't know who else could do it or what else.
That would take a big butt to do that. Somebody sat on it.
That's more than sitting. That's unbelievable. And that's all. It's right at the gifting area, also. Right at the gifting area. So there's a lot going on in this spot. In the past, Mike has found footprints out there too. He's casted, right?
Oh yeah, I've gotten. I've got six footprint casts that I've actually got from there, but I probably could have got 40 or 50 of them. I'm not even joking. Like there was one time I went back to go get a casting that we did, and I actually did a video of it. And with my son, we went back. He went with me to go get it, and there must have been 20 more footprints. But I had no casting material with me, and then that day it rained,
It happens like that every time.
Yeah, every time.
Right?
And they were
Right,
way
Ruby?
and they were way better footprints than the ones I originally casted. And that's happened every time. That used to happen on a regular basis. Like if I brought them candy or treats and I had been walking out there, or if I made a footprint cast, that's 3 times I've had that happen where I make a footprint cast and there's more watching it when I come back where they'd seen it. That's how I got my best footprint cast. Was I went back to pick one up another time, and there was one right beside it. That was even better. That's the one with the toes, Marie.
Yeah, I love that one. That's my favorite cast of all. Because the toes are so like crooked. They're not lined up. They're really at an angle and they're spread out. It's amazing. That's like my favorite cast. That and the fingerprint cast.
Oh, we're gonna get it.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get it.
Hold on, I'm gonna blow you up. Stand by.
Crooked little toes.
Where you at? There we go. Let me hit the button here. There we go. Let me get this off. There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
That's the one on the left is the one that I went to pick up, and the one on the right, it was there when I picked it up.
That's cool.
And they're matching. You can tell they match.
Yeah.
From the same critter, you know? Oops,
Yeah.
that way. There we go.
And they were what, 16 inches? About 16 inches?
No, these were
long?
14 3/4.
Okay.
But they're wide. They were 14 3/4, and they were 5.5 wide on the heel, and I'm sorry, 4.5 wide on the heel, and 6.5 wide at the foot across the front.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wide foot.
Oh, we love David.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Yes, we appreciate your support. You've been wonderful to us.
We're so glad you didn't burn down.
Yeah, well, it's not over with yet.
Everglades is on fire.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Big cypress.
It's a lightning
wow.
strike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we are the first researchers to actually do a study. It's been 23 years since that skunk ape sighting, and no one's ever investigated it. So we decided, we're going to do this. We're going to try and debunk it. We're going to see if we can do this. And, we couldn't do it, but we collected a lot of data, and we truly, truly, truly believe that it really did happen. It's really a skunk ape. There's just too many factors,
And that video is on our channel, right?
No. Oh, no.
No.
Well, I mean, the research study video I put together is on our channel.
Right.
Chris did one too, but the 2-minute David Shealy video you can find on YouTube. You could just
Smithsonian's.
I was talking about the research. I mean, the reenactment video.
Yes, that's on our channel, which is called the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. So please go there and subscribe and check out our videos. The point of the YouTube channel is to show you short little videos of interesting things we find out there. We're not talking about ourselves. We're not doing a 30, 45-minute video of us walking in the woods. We are to the point. We're showing you exactly, when we find something, hey, this is interesting and this is why. They're usually like 1-2 minutes long, and that's it. But the one we did for David Shealy, that's like a 20-minute video, and it shows the data, the weather conditions, how much water there was out there, what the temperature was. We just collected all this data, put it together with our reenactments, and an interview with David Shealy to show people that, yes, it did. We do believe that it was really a skunk ape, So unless someone could come along and prove us wrong, but we do believe it was real.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to tell you, we recently found a new area in that area also, and a new area of one of our areas. We we got to go. It's been really dry in Florida, really, really dry. And we have so many people here that they conveniently drink all our water. So the water, it gets really, really dry quick during the dry season. And it's way lower than I've ever seen it. And we were able to go probably 2 miles back directly into the swamp, if not more. And we went back to this creek, and there's an island that's on the creek. The creek is protected by very, very large alligators. So I don't want to go into it, but there's an island out there, and I got some cool pictures off of it. I'll share with you guys another time, but there's stuff on that island. I have a real strong feeling about that island. I want to visit it again.
Yeah, I think there's something hanging on the island.
There's something on the island.
Totally protected, they can just cross, or I'm sure there's probably a tree at some point that's across the creek that they just walk over. And I think so too, Mike. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think about all this AI software and everything now with what we're involved with and all this footage, and what do you think is going to turn out with all that?
I don't know. I mean, it's just going to make things even harder. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, right now AI is not pumping out some very believable Bigfoot stuff, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And then, you got hoaxers all over the place. So again, I don't necessarily think that we're in this to prove they exist anymore so much as we are just to find out more about them. So, as Marie says, we share our experiences and what we find and try to learn more. The more we compile, more data we get together and understand, better chances we have that.
Yeah, I mean, we are out researching every single weekend. And so...
what's going on this weekend?
What's going on this weekend? Yes, Sunday morning, we are having a group member outing. So usually once a year or so, maybe twice a year, we try to do a group member outing where we invite anybody who wants to go with us to go out into the Colt Creek State Park and Green Swamp. And it's going to be Sunday morning, and anybody's welcome to join us. And it'll be a good time. It's especially a good time for newbies, for people who are afraid to go out in the woods, don't know where to go or whatever. And, they don't know what to do either. So they can tag along, see what it is that, what we, observe out there, what we think about things and the places we go. And it just lets, there's a comfort level when you got a bunch of people together, and they're like-minded. Everybody's a believer. So it's always a good time. It's always a great experience. So we try to do that at least once a year for our group members.
I noticed that you were up to like 35 that had already said they were going. So that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Last time we did it, we had 18. I mean, everybody doesn't show up, not all of them show up, but I would expect there's probably going to be about the same. 18 to 20.
It'll be like herding cats.
Yes. Yes. Put everybody on leashes.
Oh, last time we didn't even start, and my son goes, "Look, a rattlesnake."
Oh, remember him and the little kids? They found a pygmy rattler. It's like, great. This is going to be a great day. Great start to a group outing.
Just off the parking lot.
Yeah, I remember.
So Standing Stones wants to know, are you near Smyrna Beach area or more central?
No, we're on the West Coast.
West Coast.
We're around Tampa, the Tampa area.
We're tampons.
Yes. Maybe Mike
Speak
is.
for yourself, Mike. Speak for yourself.
I knew something was going to be said. How did I know? Ladies and gentlemen.
I am 4th generation tampon.
Oh, cannot wait to use that.
Ruby, you're 5th generation, right? You're 5th generation? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 1st generation, but
it's all right,
Ruby,
all my life.
Ruby's our naturalist.
Yes. Yes. She's very knowledgeable about plant life, wildlife, and just everything out there.
She's. I can't be in a bad mood around Ruby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's like
Impossible.
she's a ball of positive energy.
Exactly.
That's what the world needs.
Yeah.
Yes.
More rubies.
Yeah.
They're always having to pick me up. I'm also the one who falls the most.
I'm number 2.
Mike
You're
steps
number 1.
on
I'm
the
number 2.
snakes.
Chris
We all
gets stuck
have
in
our
the mud.
niches, you know.
Yeah, I just get stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
Well, at
Hey,
least
Mike,
it's
you
not
got stuck in the
Chris
mud
just
last time.
shakes his head
Hey,
like, "Oh Lord,
what-
what am I doing?"
See, you got to admire her, Ruby.
What did you
That's
just tell me?
right.
Chris? What did you just
That's
tell
at
me?
least you're not in the ditch. So.
Did you have a picture? It didn't happen.
Oh, thank you.
So lately, we've encountered a bunch of snakes out there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. I have never encountered so many snakes as we have in the past 2 months.
Don't you get paid by the foot for them now?
That's pythons. That's down in the Everglades.
Okay. Okay.
We're talking
But where
rattlesnakes,
we are,
moccasins.
yeah, we're encountering rattlesnakes and moccasins, cottonmouth, yeah. And I think Mike stepped on the cottonmouth.
And the
I
rattlesnake.
almost, yeah, and the rattlesnake. I almost stepped on the rattlesnake. And but Mike did. Mike actually kind of stepped on its head. And
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Yeah, not on
and yeah.
This is why you wear snake boots, folks.
Thank you, Standing Stones. But yeah, it's been a crazy year for snakes. That's for sure. And then I just saw another cottonmouth that was there was a root ball from a tree, and on top of that was a bunch of dried up grass, long grass. And I was getting ready to walk past it, and I saw movement, and it was another cottonmouth.
A big one.
A big one.
Big one.
Big
And she
one.
was at a convenient biting height that would have done you in probably.
Yeah.
She wasn't
Snake
way,
boots
she
wouldn't
was,
help.
she was like at waist height.
Mhm.
Up on a stump.
Wow.
Yeah, so boots wouldn't have helped you in that situation, you know. But that's pretty scary. But I don't know if it's just because of all the dryness. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what's gotten them all out and about. I don't know what it is, but it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
That and look around us. There's nothing but construction going on. So everything's being forced into all these little wetland areas that are protected. So you're going to see a lot more game. Look at all the tracks we see back there. Think about that.
Yeah.
The amount of deer and hogs and raccoons and possums and everything. It's a funnel that we go into. It's basically a funnel that everything has to travel through, and it's all protected. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's just craziness. It's really crazy. But it's like Mike said, it's so dry out there now. You can really get back to places that you've never been able to get to before. I mean, which is awesome, you know, and there's mud too. So you're like, oh my God, this is perfect for looking for prints and stuff. Lots of hog activity and deer, like Mike said. But that's the benefit of it being dry. But when it starts raining, the swamps are going to start filling, and then, you know, we're not going to be able to, you know, it's going to be harder to get to places. Yeah.
I like that comment.
Yeah. So
Unbelievable. Yeah.
DC
So
swamp.
how deep is the swamp usually run typically during the wet season?
Oh, I don't know, 2 feet?
I would
3
say
feet?
about 2 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
There's some watermarks on the trees of recent. Well, because
Yes.
we've had the storms, that it was up to the watermarks were up to Marie's shoulders.
It would have been over your guys' head, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In certain spots.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were we were that far out.
Yeah,
That
we
it
were
was
way
that.
back there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's all dry. It's all dry
Right where you
right
saw
now.
that moccasin.
Yeah. Yeah. And
we've
we
been-
had another podcaster with us, Jeff Freeman, great guy. And it was
That
his
was
first
cool.
time ever going Bigfoot, doing some Bigfoot research. So I invited him to come out with us. And that's when we encountered the snake, the rattlesnake. And that was within 2 minutes of us getting out of the truck. I mean, it definitely woke us up. I was like,
He caught them on camera jumping.
Yeah,
both
Chris,
Marie and Mike jumped backwards, both of them simultaneously.
We jump. I jumped this way, and by the time I said it, it was already too late because Mike had already kind of stepped on its head. And but Jeff's like, "What are you guys doing?" He's like, "Oh, there's a rattlesnake," and but its tail was rattling, but its head was shaking. So Mike said that it looked like it was terrified. Because
I still think that experience that we had,
possessed is what it was.
Yeah. Possessed. It's not a doll, Grizzly.
They're not evil. They're not evil creatures that want to attack us.
No, I don't know that moccasin, that cottonmouth on the tree stump.
Hey, if someone walks through my living room and steps on me, I'm gonna be pretty pissed off too.
So Lady Wolf wants to know, have you ever seen one from an airboat, a skunk ape?
That would be a David Shealy question.
Yeah, I'm sure David Shealy
I think David actually has a story from that out there on one of the hammocks. Remember, he was on an airboat, I think, when he saw something on the hammocks out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was, what he was on, but yeah, of all people, he would,
We don't get to go on airboats too often.
Marie, tell Grizzly about the I guess, I don't know, hammock, I guess itself that Shealy went and took you out, where it looks like something was woven, like vines were woven and made a bed up in the trees down in the Everglades.
That was when I first went out to the Everglades, and it wasn't with David Shealy. I was out with my team, and we were going down one of the paths, and like Chris said, everything out in the Everglades is out to kill you. Is out to get you. Florida panthers, pythons, there's bears out there, crocodiles, alligators. So anyway, we're walking down this path and there's swamp on both sides. So it's water, right? Walking along. And I kind of like look up in the tree and I see what looks like a hammock. Like something took a bunch of vines, interwove them together, like hundreds of vines. Those one vine will cause you to trip. You will trip and fall if you try to step on one vine. And this had hundreds of vines. It was at least 10 feet across, about 8 feet wide. Something is nesting in that tree. I'm not saying it's a skunk ape. It could be, but it could also be a Florida panther. But it's definitely a perfect place for something to stay out of the water and observe what's going down the path, the dry path, because all the other wildlife is taking the dry path. They're not walking in the swamp. They're just walking down the trail. And this was right off the trail. It was a perfect location, Maybe just a coincidence that there's a bunch of vines that are like woven together, clumped together, but I don't know. It just looks suspicious to me.
Well, didn't Expedition Bigfoot come across something like that in one of their shows? Where they found a bunch of stuff woven together up in the canopy or something?
I remember seeing one on the ground.
Yeah, I think it was on
the ground.
I think it was around the ground.
3 different ones.
It was pine trees.
Maybe a family.
Or some type of evergreens that were like together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's right.
Yeah. So it makes perfect sense for something like that to be down there. Because like I said, everything, you want to be dry, you need to be up in a tree. Because there's not that many dry places out there. You got some hammocks. Which basically is like an island of trees, a little tiny island of cypress trees. And they're just located all over the place. So they would be the driest places for animals to go to rest, to, get out of the water, So, because it is all underwater over there, down there.
I think that that I really think after being out there so much that they pushed the trees over and used those as places to get shade and bedding.
Mm-hmm.
I found, I can't tell you, multiple times where a tree's been pushed over and the whole root ball's up and there's another tree underneath it in the back holding it from falling back down. Like keeping it from being able to go back down. You know, I found one that was supported on both sides. It was dug out underneath it, and I had my dog with me. That was the same day that I told that story with the tree that got shaken.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same day, and that it looked like it was dug out, and my dog was smelling it and like smelling like it was so much smell she couldn't pick up one smell. But it was so cool to see one side propped up and the other side propped up from both ways.
Right.
Like, it's pretty cool.
Mike, we had a request earlier from one of our chat people that they wanted you to retell the story because it was breaking up so bad that they couldn't really hear.
Which story?
I don't remember which one it was. Maybe Sonia can remember. I don't remember.
It was the one
at
the camp out.
When Tim was recording, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that was one of them. I think you started telling another one.
When you left us because we were doing the bells or the singing bowls and all that.
No, that's Green Swamp.
That was the Green Swamp one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was right. That's right. Because I do remember now. We were talking about because I was only about 15 feet away from that thing. Is that your one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, you were trying to tell it and you kept breaking up.
Well, they were out.
And then everybody was left hanging, you know. It was.
You want me to tell you guys?
Yeah.
We were in Green Swamp, Colt Creek, and we were way in the back somewhere. And we had, how many people we had? We had a bunch of people with us.
No, it was just
7 or 8 of us.
Bill and Bettina and us, and I think Tim and Wynot were there too. So yeah, there's about 8 of us, right?
Yeah, and they were making a lot of noise, and I've never heard a lot of noise here. Marie's heard up in Ocala. She's heard the big loud yells, and
vocalization.
I never have. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like. I said, yeah, whatever it is, it's going to get attention for sure. So I kind of whispered and I'm like, hey, while the rest of the group's over here, Tim, I'm going to run down this side. Just keep your thermal running. So he kept the thermal running and I went down and walked down this tree line away from, I was a quarter mile from it or half a mile from everybody. And I'm walking down that tree line and I got like a funny feeling about a spot. So I turned my headlamp on and kind of saw there was an opening, went into that hole. And right when you walked in, there was a berm that if you've ever seen them dig a fire road, you ever seen them dig out a fire road, how it leaves that berm? Well, this is probably a 30-year-old fire berm. It had to be way a long time ago. So behind it, there was a road. But that berm was there. There was trees that were probably 8 inches around growing out of it. So it's been there a while. And they were going up out of the angle of it too, coming out of it. And as I went into the hole, I heard something walking off to my left, about other side of in the woods, other side of the road. And it was almost like it was intentionally wanting me to hear it. Crunch, 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 crunch. And about that time, if you've ever been really nervous or got that feeling when it hits you, it just hits you. And that's what happened. I got goosebumps and I kind of like, I got like creeped out. And I turned, and when I turned my headlamp on. And I did. I realized that moment that thing walking off was distracting me from the thing that couldn't get away from me walking into the woods apparently too fast. That was only 15 feet away. And when I turned my headlamp on, I turned the headlamp on, and between 2 trees, 8 foot in the air were shoulders and a head that looked like nappy dreads. And it did a little turn like this. Like it just turned its back. So I could only see the back. Like it was trying to look like a tree or something. It looked like hairy dreads, like dreaded. And I freaked. I went, ooh, and I turned my light off. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I turned my light off and went out of the woods. And it's all on film. Like there's a thermal of this thing there. Like there was really something there. And it's on thermal image. And
it's pretty funny to see somebody with their butt puckering on thermal. It's pretty funny. I watched the film. It's pretty entertaining. I'll say that.
I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I came out like, holy crap. And then I think back, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, if I would have just reached out and grabbed some hair, I could have made everybody in the world happy.
Right?
I was
you would
that
have been
close.
punched.
Yeah. You see me, then you see the thermal of me being flying over the trees out into the field. Like one of those Sasquatch commercials.
we don't know what
Yeah.
really brought it in, because I brought out one of my Tibetan singing bowls, and I was playing that, and Bill and Bettina had the call blaster like what they use on Expedition Bigfoot, so they were blasting out Bigfoot calls. So what, the combination of the two or one of them brought something close, and which is what Mike encountered out there.
Or they were just sitting back there going, what are these humans doing? They're so loud.
Hey, that too.
Like that.
It works, right?
It worked. It got their attention. It did get their attention for sure.
Yes.
That's crazy.
The closest I've been.
Yeah.
Nah, I would have passed out right then and there. You know? I would have just killed over. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now,
over.
You just saw my light go up in the air and just me just fall. Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I've ever seen. I just remember that shoulder muscle, like that trap. I can remember that trap I can see it, how his neck went up, and that trap muscle. Oh, the thing was huge. Absolutely monstrous. How big it was. I think that was the alpha.
I just cannot imagine getting that close, you know. And Sonia just walks amongst them, you know, like la-ti-ta, like nothing happens, and feeds them. And I mean, just like nothing. I mean, it's just, people crack me up, you know.
Well, you get to see one on FaceTime the other day. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Have we been hurt yet? We have not been hurt yet, have we?
Nope.
Because they're not out
I
to hurt
said
us.
she's going to go into a portal. That's what I'm afraid of.
If I go missing, you've got the perfect team to come and find me. You've got all these shows, you got these psychics. There's somebody will find me. And if you don't, I don't want to be found. I don't think they're going to drag me off. They'll bring me back. I talk a lot.
If they haven't done it already, they won't. So nothing.
Exactly what I said.
It seems out in the dark now.
It's probably the same reason aliens haven't picked me up. I have too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
They just set me right back down. Like, no.
Like, this one talks too much. Take it back.
Yeah.
I have not got to hear Sonia's stories.
She's
Oh,
got
you
some.
haven't? Oh,
No, I have
man. Tell them about that juvenile one that caused the stunk and stink and the chickens and what you did to it.
Well, that wasn't the juvenile, but like the juveniles did get in my corn that year. But like I have a whole family that live out here, and they're here usually year round. There's a couple months in the winter where they go up in the mountains and they stay kind of hid out, you know. And then there's a single male that runs around, you know, in the winter months when they're gone. There's a single male that comes around. And he's different now. He looks different. He smells different, and he's a different color and everything than the family is out here. And you know, for a couple of years, he was a little more aggressive. He had gotten into my chickens, and something had gotten into my chickens, you know. And I came out. I was like, I'm going to catch it, you know. I'm going to find out what it is, because I didn't have a problem with my other Sasquatches getting stuff like that. They never went to eat my chickens. There was a few juveniles through the summer that year which I knew. I didn't know how to plant corn, so I planted corn 1 seed per, like, you know, and you're supposed to do it 2 kernels per, you know, hole. But it was my first year, so I didn't know. But like, you could have just chipped the corn and it would have fell over, but it grew corn and it was nice corn. But something came into my garden and I had footprints, and of course, that's how I knew it was the juveniles. But they took every piece of corn that I had out of my garden, which was unusual for them, because they got all my squash and all my zucchini and stuff that I had extra, because I don't eat a bunch of those, and you grow so many, and I don't have any friends, so they get all all the stuff from the garden. So I don't know if it was just because I was feeding them, or I don't think they, you know, it wasn't normal for my family, you know, my family of Sasquatch to be in the garden. Oh, I got gremlins.
I like the peeing story better.
But Yeah, but there was a single male that came out. He comes out through the winter, and something was getting into my chickens, and my sister's boyfriend come, and he was like, "Hey, something tried to rip your chicken tractor door off," and it's a really heavy wooden door, and the top of it comes up, and I had it we had it screwed in with the metal, the metal brackets, and whatever it was had picked that up and just tore it off, because you could see where it come up all the wood and try to tear it instead of unlatching it. And I was like, well, I'd probably catch it. And I think a couple of my chickens went missing. I know one of them did for sure. I found feathers and stuff, so I followed in the woods, and I was like, this is a Sasquatch. I was like, I know what it is. I was like, I found the feet prints, and the way it tore the door off, and I was like, well, that's unusual for my Sasquatches to be out here trying to mess with my chickens. That doesn't happen. And I was like, fine, I'm gonna finally catch, I'm gonna catch him tonight, So I know it was awful, but I dragged my chicken tractor closer to the woods, that night, and I left my floodlight on. So, anytime that I get anything that would start walking back there, anything, the light would come on. If I stepped out my back porch, the floodlight would come on, and I'd be able to see. So it was probably about midnight or so, and I could hear my chickens. I could hear them, and I heard the dog start. And I was like, okay, he's here. And I just went out and stepped out my back porch and stepped out, and I had a friend with me, and she came out behind me, and I stepped out, and the Sasquatch he had the door ripped up and was holding the door, and I said, I got him. And he dropped the door, and when he did, he just he stepped back into the trees. There's a cedar tree there. He stepped back into the tree and looked like he cloaked himself is what he did, but I could still see him where he was standing there. I could still see him, so I knew he was still there. You just couldn't see him. But he only kind of seen through February and March, and he smells, like I said, he smells different than the other ones do. My other ones don't really have a smell. They smell, but not like this. Sorry, I'm having difficulties over here.
Maybe a rogue.
But
male or
I know.
What did he smell like? What did it smell like?
Okay, so we have skunks and we have polecats around here, right? And they smell different than each other. A polecat smells like, of course, it smells kind of like a skunk, but it has this burnt coffee, or like burnt coffee. I don't know, like a burnt coffee smell. So it's a really strong skunk smell and burnt coffee, and it's awful. And I know exactly when he's around. He's the only one that smells like that. Or there, he's alone too. So, again, I caught him with my chickens, and I finally went out there, and I left food out there, and I went out there and had a big discussion with him. I just stood in the middle of the woods and basically screams, "You can't have my chickens. You can't have my stuff," And I guess he didn't really care, because the next night I'd been growing my first year. This is wintertime, so my first year growing Brussels sprouts and stuff, and I had they were so pretty. Talk about them. They had the Brussels sprouts. They were all pretty in the garden, and he came over there and stood right there and ate every one of the Brussels sprouts off the thing and left me too good. I've got the footprint. I've got the picture of the footprint where he stood right there, letting me know that was him, and whatever, But after that, I started leaving him stuff, because that time of year I didn't usually leave stuff out in the woods, because my Sasquatches are usually out and about or up in the mountains or wherever they go. And so I started leaving him stuff. And since then, he has not messed with anything else, to my knowledge. And my light keeps going in and out. It's wild. I don't know what it's doing.
Weird.
So Maria, she is a psychic medium. Okay. So, and it's a long story how we met, but we were on FaceTime the other night, and she was like, "It's getting ready to hail," and I'm like, "Okay," and it started to hail, and she looked out her window and she showed me her camera, and I was like, and she said, "Yeah, I see it." And I was like, "It's right there, 40 feet. Sasquatch is right there." She said, "Yeah, I see it." And it's just standing there in the tree line looking at her.
What?
And then just slowly walks over, stands behind a tree, and starts rocking.
Wow.
Back and forth. And she's like, yeah, I said, she's watching the storm. I'm like, put the camera back. Put the camera back. You know? And it's no big deal to Sonia at all about any of this stuff, you know, because she has grown up with them for all of her life. You know, I mean, she owns all this property out here in this country, and it's normal to her. So,
lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky, girl.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know. I forget how honored I really am, you know, and how grateful I am for the experiences to be able to sit with them in the woods. And not only that, because I started believing in Bigfoot when I was really young, because I seen him when I was little.
In the woods.
Right.
Me? Are
in
you
the dark.
crazy?
I'm trying to soak it all up. Like,
I haven't just seen that. Well, it started, you know, like when I was 8, I saw Bigfoot, and I was like, I told my parents, or I told my mom, I was like, there's a thing out in the woods. It was watching me by the creek. And she was like, no, there's not. It's your imagination. And so for years, I battled the fact that it was my imagination, and people just imagine stuff, scary stuff all the time. Cause you know, you're like, oh, okay. Well, I just imagining stuff. And then you find out that if you see stuff, or, you know, you hear things and things like that, people think you're crazy. So they'll give you medicine or put you in a hospital. Mm-hmm. So there was always these like weird childhood fears, you know, that came in, was like seeing Sasquatch. But then, since, you know, knowing the families out there and all that, I've seen a dog man. I have a Wampus cat out here. I don't know. I'm not sure if the Wampus cat and the dog man aren't similar creatures, but, there's a 6-foot tall cat-like creature that roams the woods out here on 2 legs, and she's gorgeous. She is, she's something else. And I've seen a rake, and I saw a gargoyle once. And most of these things, I've had people with me when we've seen them. So, and they always blame me. They're always like, you always see weird stuff. Why do we always see weird stuff when we're with you? And I'm like, well, I don't know. This is my first time too. You know, besides the Bigfoots, most of my friends, anybody that's my friends been up here, they know about them. You know, I can say Bigfoot, their eyes will roll back in their head. What?
You think you have a portal on your property?
Yes,
I do have a portal on my property.
I do believe so. Yes.
Yes.
Now, listen to this story. Now, this is ironic. Now, tell her about your girlfriend.
Like, okay, so we were just out in we were unloading the car one night, and we were getting ready to go to North Carolina, and we was unloading my car, and it was like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, which this is my friend. She was up here a lot with me. She would go feed my pigs with me, and she knew about the Bigfoot. She knew that they were there. She had never seen one with her eyes, you know. When we'd go feed the pigs, it would follow us through the woods, and you could hear it walk with us. And when we'd stop, it would stop. When we'd walk, it would walk. And that would go on all the time. And so she knew that they were there. But we were out unloading my car, and she had been fighting with her significant other, and they had been in a fight. So she was crying and just blubbering and going on about, like, you know, whatever, about breaking up with her significant other, her girlfriend. And she's just going on and on about it. And she started like, when she was crying, you could hear the Bigfoot. It would start mocking her. It was crying, like it was making fun of her.
Wow.
And I stopped. I said, did you hear that? And it was making fun of her. It was crying like she was. And she was like, it's making fun of me. I was like,
she's crying anymore.
I said, it doesn't want to hear you whining anymore. And she was like, she started cry laughing. You know, when you do that cry laugh, it's just like, it started mocking that. It started mocking her cry laughing. And the more we did that, the funnier it got. And about that time, all my dogs, except for my 3-pound Chihuahua, every one of my dogs turned and come towards the house. Except for the 3-pound Chihuahua, she decided to turn and head towards the bridge because something was there. You know, the other dogs was like, what is that? You know, they knew what it was. But like, she was just like, oh, rah, 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 and runs right towards the bridge. And I'm like, Ivy, no. Because I knew that's what it was. I knew it was standing over there making fun of my friend. And it came across the bridge. And this is the first time I've ever had one like playfully come at me and let us see it in full view, and it didn't care. It thought it was funny. I thought it was funny because it had been mocking my friend, and I already thought that was funny because I was dying laughing. But now my 3-pound Chihuahua has run after it, that was only concern was like, oh my God, what if it kicks my dog or something? I don't know. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
But
snack.
it came across my bridge though with its arms up in the air going, and it was making fun of her, like whatever noise that she, like the way she was laughing, it was still making that noise and coming over the bridge and scooting its feet like it was coming at us. And I was like that, and she was like, it's Bigfoot, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, what's it doing? I was like, I don't know, like, go in the house.
And what's your address? I want to write this down.
We're gonna come for a little visit.
I mean, she'll sit there and be like, look, see that right there? This is where the watcher sits.
Yes. What's
this
the
is where the other
Sonia?
watcher sits.
Text me.
So,
Private message.
so when are we taking a road trip?
Yeah,
I
road
mean,
trip.
Everybody in her area knows about it. I mean, everybody knows.
On one of the other Bigfoot pages, last year sometime, I told my story and told people, about the family up here, and somebody was like, oh yeah, my mom lives in East Tennessee, and she said there's a family of Sasquatches out where she lives, and we started communicating. I was like, yeah, and he was like, oh, well, my mom lives in whatever county. And I said, I live in that county. And he was like, well, I was like, what road does your mom live on? He was like, oh, this road. I was like, she's my neighbor. Turned to find out she's my neighbor. Yeah. And yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'd really like to hear stories from them, but they never really messaged me back. Maybe they found out I was that neighbor.
Grizz, have you been to
I feel like I am that neighbor.
Not yet.
What?
I'm afraid they're going to eat me. Yeah.
Do they approve of Grizz?
How many do you think are in the family?
Between 15 and 20.
Wow.
That's funny because Chris, what do I think? I believe the same. I believe they're in big groups.
12 to 15.
I think they're big groups, and I think they're more like troops almost. like big groups, little colonies that live together.
I have certain ones that do certain things, like the watchers that are here during the day. The one watcher that is always here, she's been the same watcher that's been here for years, and like she's not that old, but she's not she's no spring chicken, like the rest of us, like, but she's the same watcher that sits up there like every day. And I know there's certain ones that it's like they play certain roles throughout the day. You see them at certain times. You only see them like her. You see her every day out there all the time. She's always out there. She sits there's a corner where she sits on. It's on top of the hill. But if you go to these spots where they sit, you can usually stand in that spot and you can see the next spot over to where they stand in that spot, and so forth and so on. But she sits up here in the corner. I mean, 50 yards from my house, if give or take a couple yards. And she sits there and she'll take twigs and sticks and sit there and break them and leave this giant pile of twigs and bark. I'll have to go up there and take some pictures. I don't know why I don't. I'm so lazy.
Do they communicate with each other out there a lot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too, because like we do like Bigfoot hollers. We do it we holler outside all the time. I do a lot of the, the knocks, and my sister, she can make some wild, crazy noises, she's but if the kids do it, if the kids are out there hollering, like 9 out of 10 times they answer the kids. Like always. Yeah. Always answer the children back, But my sister, like, that's what really called us into knowing that the Bigfoots were here. Because when I was like 12, my sister would we'd play outside all the time, but my sister would make these like animal noises. She's been on Jay Leno and everything for her animal impressions, like real life animal impressions. But she does this, like, we call it the Bigfoot holler, because she literally called in Bigfoot this one summer. And he set out in the woods over here where they sit, and I guess they've always been here, but I guess, I don't know. I guess after watching the Boggy Creek Monster, I kind of felt like maybe they thought we had a Bigfoot in here trapped, or that my sister was a Bigfoot or something, because they set out that year outside the window here and screamed. And the scream that they've made, I've still to this day have never heard one quite like this one. It was more like a dying jackrabbit and a holler monkey. Like if you could combine those two things, and if you know what those two things sound like, this is what that thing sounded like. And it stood outside her, like right out here at the house, right where Grizzly saw the Sasquatch yesterday. would sit out there and scream all night long. It would just scream and scream and scream. And it did that all summer long. We'd go after it all the time. I mean, other people were just like, we used to have people come up here and camp with us through the summer all the time. And the people that, you know, are normally up here was like, what is that? You know, and then they would be like, you know, something was throwing rocks at us down there. There's somebody out here. And I'm like, it ain't somebody. And it started to dawn on us, you know, and my dad had always believed in Sasquatch. And it was just one of those things. It confirmed his suspicion. He knew what it was, because we went after the first night we went after it. It was the first night it screamed out here. Me and my dad walked up to the tree line out here, and it screamed the whole time, all the way to the tree line. And we had a flashlight. We turned the flashlight on and it stopped screaming. We turned the flashlight off and it started to walk, and you could hear the walking pattern when it first started. It was just 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you spend a lot of time in the woods, you know, walking patterns or something, you know, you can tell something on 2 legs rather than 4.
Yep.
You know, and you can tell, and it was heavy. You could feel it walking. Couldn't see it. We turned the flashlight back on. You could still hear it walking. Couldn't see it. And now I know that they can cloak, you know. At that point I didn't. This was when I first started. So, but yeah, I've been a firm believer since I was 12. Since I was 8, but that was just my imagination. My mom told me so.
Right. They just say that so you don't freak out or get scared.
They want us in the house bothering her. She's like, go back
You'll
outside.
be on the pot, Marie, and you'll hear it go.
So sometimes, and I think they know this, because I have a fear of windows because of them. I'm not scared of them. I'm scared of the window and the fact that when you look out a window, you can't see out of it, but things can see you on the end, you know?
Yes. Because you have lights on in the place, anything outside could see. Yeah.
We keep it pretty dark around, like most places. You know, we have floodlights and stuff, and they know that they're there. They know where the floodlights are. They know exactly where we have cameras out. They know exactly where the line of the cameras are. And if you put trail cams out, and you might as well just say goodbye to it. Or no, I had one time, I put it like 13, 14 feet in the air. I was standing in the back of the truck and on top of the truck from the back, and put it up on a tree. And something still got up there and moved it completely around the tree and pointed it up towards the sky. And everybody I'd ever talked to, they were like, "Oh, that was squirrels." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Okay.
Squirrels don't do that.
He undid the strap, spun it around, strapped it back. The squirrels out here are crazy.
No.
But but they know, they watch you all the time, so they know what you're doing. People say that, they try to hide stuff from them. You can't hide nothing from them. They know.
No. Are they in your head?
Yeah.
I ask these questions because I don't the group knows I don't have many people that are like me a lot that I can relate to. I really don't. Yeah. And some of the stuff that I've dealt with is almost unbelievable. And I can't explain some of it. It just happens. It's like they're in my dreams, they're in my head. They're and it's weird.
They can I get feelings like at night when I know I need to go out and check on my goats and stuff. Like we had a predator that was around, and like I'd get something would hit the top of the house or something. I'll be like, "What was that?" And then the dogs would start barking, so it would send me outside. And a lot of the times, I do believe that the Sasquatches are warning me about stuff that was out here, because something got a hold of a couple of our goats, and I know it wasn't them. People were like, "Are you sure it wasn't the Sasquatches?" Yeah, I'm sure. I found the big cat prints, and I know it wasn't the Wampus cat. It was a big cat. I saw a Black Panther out here, but TWRA wants to argue that if you don't get a clear picture of said Black Panther, there are no Black Panthers out here. But I know otherwise. So this Black Panther it terrorizes us like once a year, tries to come in on us. And I've had like stuff being thrown at the house while it was around, because you go outside and you can hear it. You can hear it down the holler. And so I feel like they do warn me. I've been in the woods, I'll go out in the woods in the middle of the night. Even we've had a lot of bear activity here recently because of the fires in the Smokies. And I usually always carry my gun. They know I carry my gun. There's no fear of them. Like when I have my gun on me, it does not bother them one way or another. Like if I go out to shoot like for any reason, like I will call into the woods and let them know that I'm out there about to shoot around, you know. And I'm pretty careful about what I do, you know. So, but yeah, I forgot what I was talking about.
I can't believe that they let other people, they interact with other people too. That's crazy.
Like, well, like if I bring somebody out here, and I don't ever bring more than a couple people at a time, I think I feel like they know exactly why I brought these people into the woods. Like I've been standing beside my friends and had them get hit right in the face with a hickory nut or a walnut. And I've stood in between two people, and somebody got hit in the face on this side of me and missed the guy on the other side of me. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, he was like, what was that? And he was like, that nut had to fall from the trees. There was no trees above us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how would that have failed? I was like, how would that have fallen into your face like that? He was like, well, I don't know. It must have fell. I was like, yeah, it could. There's no trees here, and there's especially no walnut or hickory nut trees right here. I have a walnut tree here in my side yard, but I don't have a hickory nut tree. It is on up the property. Like there's only like a couple out here, but there's one way up the property. And sometimes when I leave them stuff, they'll gather up a bunch of the hickory nuts when they're ripe, and they'll bring them down and set them with me. And, you know, I find big piles of them all the time. And everybody's like, you know, how did these piles of nuts get here? And they're like, squirrels. Like squirrels don't leave their nuts out in the open. Like that's not a thing squirrels do. But yeah, I'm like, it's a gift for me, you know.
Yeah, Mike, it's crazy, Mike. I'm telling you, this is just a little. You have no idea.
Yeah, and I feed them. I give them treats like I say, I give them treats. That sounds so like
temptations.
I give them gifts. Yeah,
cat treats.
Yeah, my dogs get treats. The Bigfoots get gifts. You know, I need.
Chris was with me one time when we had a stick get thrown right in between us, and he looked around with the look on his face because the angle this stick came flying in. He's like looking straight up, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, how could it have come through the woods like that? Stuff coming at your face through the woods like that didn't fall from a tree. That's not how projectiles work.
Weird stuff going on that time.
Yeah, a couple of years
ago. All kinds of things.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we had a small stick thrown at us, and you could see it if it was captured on camera, and it flew horizontally across the screen. You know,
I feel like they play with you like that.
Nothing falls this way. Stuff falls this way, not horizontally.
and that was one of those dead still nights too. Mm-hmm. That was a real horrible mosquito night. I remember that night. Not a breath.
Yeah, they play with you though. They do that. Like they throw little sticks and stuff. You know, that's not harmful. Like and it's play, especially the juveniles. The juveniles are the worst for it. They will throw rocks at your house at night when they're supposed to be doing that. Because I had the juveniles out here one night, and this is like when the first summer that they lit. There were like 2 or 3 of them. I'm pretty sure there were 3 of them, and they lit them out. You know, out at night doing their regular path. You know, walking their normal path. And one night they were out there, and it was just weird because it was just like they were throwing rocks. They were running through the creek. They were not trying to be quiet. They were like, it was the same time that they got into my garden and ate my corn. About the same time. It might have even been the same time. But they were like throwing rocks. And me and my cousin Josh, you know, he knew about the Sasquatch. He lived with me when he was little. So he knows that they're out there. And he was out there and we were talking, and we had 2 other friends that was with us, and we were explaining to them, you know, hey, yeah, that's what that is. And they were like, no, there's something there. We can see it. And I was like, yeah, that's a Sasquatch. I was like, that's a small Sasquatch. And he was like, yeah, but it's small. I was like, it's juvenile. It's a small one. But they were throwing rocks at us and making a big stink. And we were all out there talking about it. And about that time, from like the other side of the holler, from up at the mountain, you heard this blood curdling scream, and it sounded like your grandmother, or your mom hollering for you when you were supposed to already be in the house. And that kind of scream, you could just tell it sounded like the creek had stopped. It got so quiet outside. The cricket stopped, the frogs, there wasn't a sound. And in my mind, I couldn't even hear the creek running. I was like, oh, and you could just tell that the juveniles go back up the hill, like going towards the thing. You could tell they were in trouble. And I felt bad for them. I was like, oh, you know, because I was having a good time. We were having a good time, like playing with them. But I don't think they were supposed to be out because and I know which one it is. There's an older, like gray colored female. She was the one that screamed like that. She's the only one that screams like that. And she screamed like that. It gave me chills. Like it scared. I don't get scared, but it gave me that, oh, I hate to be you. You know, I don't, you know, feeling from it. And it was just,
I could pick your brain all day.
yeah. Like, well, yeah. And you talked about like if they communicate with me, like, and being psychic and the vibrations that these things put off. Yeah. That you get all kinds of like, they talk to you. Yeah.
You feel it in your ear?
Oh yeah. And you know what's weird that you said that today? I get that feeling like it sounds like a hummingbird. If a hummingbird flew by your head, like that sound in your ears, that vroom, vroom, vroom. I get that like vroom, vroom, vroom. Like that one, one, one.
I get feels like if you stick your fingers in your ear and pull.
Yeah.
And it gets worse. The closer I get, the stronger it gets. And it's like a beacon. It leads me to where it's like the energy they're putting out, whatever it is. I feel. And it's so weird. And that never happened to me before I got hit with the infrasound.
Right.
And it's like now I'm so it's like it linked me to them. It's weird.
Whatever you do, Mike, don't leave your bathroom window open. I don't know if you heard that part. Did you hear Grizzly say that earlier? She was telling a story. Was that last night? Or night? Yeah. Go ahead and tell us, Sonia.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you go, like, sometimes when you go in there and if you have your window open at nighttime in the bathroom, obviously you'll be sitting down to pee, and it's just like as soon as you sit down and start peeing, you can hear something walk up to the window and just stand there, and it'll sit there and breathe, and it just this fear comes over you. I know what it is, like I know what it is, but still, it's just a thing. And my mom, she cannot stand it. My mom she won't go outside at night. You know,
maybe
my sister lives next door.
Bigfoot crush, like he's got a crush. You know?
Well, they used to mess with this a lot more, like get close. But now that I'm older, I go out there with them. You know what I mean? They don't have to come to my window. Like I go out there and sit with them at night, and I'm out there all the time. And I've had some really cool experiences, like sitting in the middle of the woods. I'll go and find a tree and just find whatever random tree and sit down with my back to it or whatever, and just sit out there and kind of just meditate. You know, I won't take my phone with me. I won't take anything with me. And I've had the whole family surround me. And this is like, I know they all have different color eye shines. Like each one of them has like their own color eye shine, you know, not to saying that some of them don't have the same color eye shine, but all of them are usually like different. And I've had the family surround me, and
maybe it's different.
Yeah, well, this was just they were just different color eye shines like around me, like white and blue, red. The big alpha male here, he's got like yellow colored, I like yellow orange colored eye shine, and his are, I don't know why his are so scary. They just, because I guess it's that warning color. Right. But like they surrounded me, and were all eye shining me all around me, and I've only had this happen twice. But the first time it happened, it was just this overwhelming feeling like I could hear them. Like when I was younger, I used to sit outside because Jane Goodall used to say when they would go up and find the gorillas in the mountains that you would sit and you would ask for permission. So you'd stick out your hand and, you know, you would give like this thing and you would sit there with your head down and ask for permission. And years ago, I started doing that. And that's when they started letting me see them, like really see them, like, you know what I mean? And so I would sit out there like that. And every now and then I'll still go out there and sit out there with my hand out, like I'm still asking for permission. Because, you know, I live out here on their house. You know, I don't live with them. Or I live with them. They don't live with me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's just, but you can hear them, like, just like I can hear other people. I can hear other animals, and the feelings and the vibrations that you get, I can hear them. It's different. It's wild. I'm honored. I'm so honored. And ever since I've had these encounters with these other things, the Sasquatch and the Wampus cat have been out here on my own property. But I've got to see other things. Like I saw what I thought was a werewolf, but I guess I would call it Dogman now. Yeah, sounds less scary than werewolf.
I have no interest in meeting one of those.
The Bigfoots. I mean, if you were to describe, Sonia, the vibration level of a Bigfoot? I mean, is it like a low vibration energy or is it a high vibration energy?
I would say it's a high vibration because I
Right.
think low vibrational things makes you feel like in a certain way, like drained or drawn down. And I've only felt that way once, and I wouldn't say that I felt drained. I felt confused. I got hit with whatever. I can't talk. The infrasound or whatever. I got hit with it, but I didn't know what had happened to me up until recently because I guess I just never talked to anybody else who had gone through that. And on another show, like Barb, she was telling me that it happened to her, and we started talking about it. I didn't feel like something drained my energy as much as just something like I went into the woods and I don't usually go in the way that I went in. I went down the road and up the mountain and came in the back way, which is not something I normally do. And I went in through this like row of cedar trees, and there's a big like pine forest, cedar tree forest that's right there. And I never I know they're out there all the time, so I wasn't really looking for them, nor did I really hear anything. I didn't hear no warning sounds or nothing. But the next thing I know, I just got this like overwhelming sick, like I was gonna pass out, and I got this real deep ringing in my ear, like this weird ringing, like I was underwater, but my ears were still ringing. And the next thing you know, I'm like halfway through the forest. I'm on the other side of the road, almost to my house already when I came to realize what was going on. And I was so confused about what had happened. I thought for years I got abducted by aliens. I really did. I really thought I'd been abducted because there was time missing that I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then where I was through the woods, there's no way I could have got where I was walking the way I did. Like, there's just no way. There's a huge ravine or embankment right there. And it would have took to come that way. It would have took so much, I should have been dirty. I would have had to crawl basically. And there's just no way I could have got down the hill like that. And it was just, so for years I thought I got abducted by aliens, but then I realized that I guess it was them, directing me out of there. It could have been whatever reason. I could have walked right up on a black panther. I could have walked up on a bear. I mean, I don't know. And it's the only time it's ever happened. I've had some really cool experiences with orbs and lights, I
was going to ask you about orbs. I was going to ask you. I'm sure you have. I mean, I've seen it. Micah's seen it. Yeah, we've seen it.
I wouldn't have believed that one in that day if I hadn't seen it. That was incredible. I swore there was someone standing there with a cell phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about the orbs is you can tell when it's an orb because to walk through the woods, there's no way you can walk without the bounce of a person without that step.
Yeah.
Right.
And these things will glide, And I've seen little ones, I've seen big ones, I've seen different color, blue, orange, red, yellow. I've seen them in the sky out here, in the clouds in the sky, especially during a storm.
Yep.
And I've seen them all, in the woods all through the year. It's just depends on where you are. But there's a really cool spot. Okay, so we're talking about portals. I can go in the woods and stuff will lead me to stuff. I can find mushrooms that way. I find all kinds of gifts from the universe that way. But there's a draw to certain spots out here. There's the energy resonates different. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a special spot in the middle of the woods out here. It's like Narnia. It's surrounded by forest, and you walk into it, and it's a giant circle. It looks like one of us made it, and this is on my property. It's got the natural vines, that make the archways. It looks like a place where somebody comes to worship, and it's really when you sit in it, it gives you this almost overwhelming scared feeling, and you're only scared because you don't understand what's going on or what the feeling is. And that's you get nervous when you start to feel energy that you're not sure what it is.
I wonder,
and it can,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now she does have a big creek in her front yard, and she's got a big lake right down the street.
Yeah, it's a spring fed creek that runs through my front yard. And then if you follow the creek down, I'm the last house before you get to the lake. So you can walk down the creek Or if it floods, you can tube down the creek to the lake. Yeah, and it comes out. So there's plenty of between.
What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say, I wonder, hearing her stories relates to mine and our area so much too. That day that we all found that with Jeff, right? That day, that area was weird. That was a very, very weird area that we walked into. He happened to be with us. We walked into a new area, my area that I'd always wanted to go to. And I've wanted to go over to that spot so many times, but every time I go, it's almost like I get lost going to it. It's weird.
The birds.
The birds. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. We finally got into this spot, and first the crows going off, and then other bird, and
the owls.
All in the same spot, an owl, and then a red-tailed hawk going off, all in the same spot. And then it went from like the regular barred owl sound almost to the fake barred owl sound, and it was like, okay, they're here. And I told her, I said, they're here. They're here. It went from hoo, hoo, hoo to whoo, whoo, whoo.
But the moment that you made a sound, everything stopped.
I did one of
all
my
the birds stopped.
It went dead instantly quiet.
Everything.
It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was really weird. We got all that on video too. It was weird.
Yeah.
All these birds. And then
the moment he did like a Bigfoot whoop kind of thing, everything stopped.
And they were circling directly overhead of us. I mean, they were tattletaling on us big time. It was like the alarm system was going off.
I said,
the craziest thing.
I remember looking at Chris. I said, Chris, I don't know if we're supposed to be here.
Exactly.
It was weird. It felt weird. The whole thing felt really.
That was a bad. I never had a weird feeling back there like that in that area. I almost had a feeling. But I lost that feeling as soon as I made a noise and they stopped. It was like they recognized me. I don't think they recognized us at first, and then when they recognized us, they were like, "Oh, it's just them," you know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what happened to me when they zapped me that day. You know, I kind of like, because again, I came in a different way. I parked at my neighbor's house and came in the back side of the property, and that's not something I normally do. And so if I came up on them, they were like, "Oh no," you know, they're probably like, "Oh no, that was Sonia."
Exactly.
Let me wonder that. And what's so crappy is, like I told you, I parked at my neighbor's house. I had to walk back because I was damn near my house already, and I had to walk all the way back like 2 miles that way to go back and get my car.
I got zapped real bad at Ruby's spot. That one got me. There was a I think that's a really, really big family group back there, because it just so much energy was in this one spot that I couldn't walk into it. I couldn't go no farther. And I stopped. I sat down on a log. I couldn't go no farther. And then from then on, the rest of the day was almost a blur. I was sick.
Did you guys come across a big X or a big?
We did.
Big cross or something like
We did come across
them.
Yeah,
a couple of them.
Big.
I don't recall.
With an arch, with arches too, right? X's and arches all together.
Yeah, there was a big X, and then all the arches were together going the same way. It was like, it felt like a warning sign. It felt like it was saying, "Hey, we're telling you we're here. You may not want to come back here," you know. And then I kept feeling it because I follow. That's how I usually find cool places. I follow that feeling. You know, it gets stronger and stronger. But it got to the point where it was like an invisible force field. I couldn't go no farther. And then I just went from there. I was sick, like really sick.
Because that was the confusion I felt like. Was I thought I was passing out, and I was like, okay, should I lay down here so I don't fall down and hurt myself to get my head and my heart level? Because that's normally what I do when I get that sick, dizzy feeling. And that's normally what I do, but I didn't do that. Obviously, the next thing I remember, again, I was stumbling back towards my house in a place that I shouldn't have been, confused about what had happened and feeling like I was still going to, pass out or puke. And that was, it was like I said, I was so confused, and so much time had went by, not that much time, but not enough time for me to get where I was to where I was. That's what weirded me out. And I felt like I had, again, got abducted by aliens.
Have you ever had a really, really bad migraine?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it felt like to me. Like it felt like the complications of the migraine, the really bad complications where you're dizzy and you vertigo and
yes, that right there where you're sick and dizzy. That yes. I've got to lay down or I'm going to pass out and hurt myself. And that was like the first spike, and I was like, like I was underwater, but that pressure.
I think that
Yeah.
frequency is doing something to our eardrums.
Well,
that's
see,
messing up your
that's
whole
the only time
equilibrium.
I felt that bad one. I've like, again, sometimes when they're around, I get like this, like, it's like a happy vibration. It's just like that, like wings fluttering from like a hummingbird, and it's completely different. But
Yeah.
today when I was outside, because I went to feed my Sasquatch's eggs today, because I didn't do it yesterday and I didn't do it the day before, and I felt bad. And I went to put out eggs out there, but I got that like just this like weird energy that I don't normally get, and it was just like, and I could hear it, and it was just like, oh, okay. And it was just kind of like she was like, oh, thank you, finally.
About damn time.
Yeah.
If you were going to tell me some things to gift food-wise at our area, what would you say? Like some eggs? Some
Eggs, but we were talking about
steaks.
there's a debate about the eggs. Some people use store-bought, which I don't. We have chicken, so they're straight out the chicken right to the forest, with them. And I've never tried with the store-bought eggs, but other people say they've tried store-bought eggs and they never worked. But but muffins, biscuits, especially biscuits. My Sasquatches love biscuits. They love bread. Muffins.
yeah, I give mine the wrong kind of food.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be feeding them like stuff." I'm like, they love Oreos. Like,
Oreos.
I gave them a whole pack of Oreos, which was really cool because they like opened it up, eat the Oreos out of it, and there was barely any dust left in the bottom of it, but they closed it back and left it right there for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we tend to use Reese's peanut butter cups. They work very well.
And I feel bad too because I don't have the funds like I used to, so they're getting like the Oreos. I used to get them a thing of Oreos, and I would get me a thing of Oreos, and I had to stop doing that because I was eating like a thing of Oreos in 2 days, and then I was like, oh, I can't do that. But yeah, so I haven't been buying a lot of Oreos lately.
All right, Bigfoot has some competition for the Reese's too, and Marie's one of them.
I know.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, we want
chocolate all over your face.
Everybody wants to hug and love and give Bigfoot hugs and kisses.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm gonna walk out on our property and I'm gonna get my face ripped off or something.
Chris, come on.
I don't think they want to hurt us. If they if they wanted to, they'd do it. They would have already ripped my arms
Better
off.
bring them Oreos, Grizzly.
Yeah, see?
Jars of peanut butter from
Walmart. Like coming up trying to tickle me or something. They're like,
Grizzly, you're too good of a soul for them to want to hurt you.
Yeah.
You can feel it. You have good energy.
Yeah, you
They won't
I
hurt
carry big guns, I can tell you that. So but she said I'm gonna have to bring my guns, but that's weird.
You can bring your guns. We just don't have to take them with us. But you can if you want to. They don't mind me carrying my gun. I don't know about you. Like if you want to see them, I would.
The first time I start getting nauseated or I start seeing dizziness or feeling, I'm firing off a 50 cal or a 44 mag. Bitches, back up! I'm here. Get away.
Note to self: don't take Grizzly and the woods.
So, yeah.
Anybody else want to go?
I had a woman, a good friend of ours.
I think.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean
women. I think they're like. I think women have a very because there's a lot of women out there who have. I don't know if we're just more. Guys can't even find their own stuff when they lay it down in the house. So I don't know if women are just easier, like, oh, look at that, and we're like that, But we seem, I feel like women tend to see Bigfoot more than than we lit on.
I think women and kids, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One of our friends, Phyllis.
Attention to detail.
She told me that they would never hurt me. They would protect me. She said, I'm a natural protector is what she told me. She's like you. She's a psychic medium type of, and she said, this is the first time I ever met her. I'd never met her. This is the first time I met her. She told me this. She said, don't worry. They're not going to hurt you. She said, you're a natural protector, but they're your guardian, or you have a guard. You have guardians. And I was like, what? So I'm waiting for that day that the bear comes out and tries to attack me and a big Sasquatch comes up and grabs him. That's what I'm waiting for.
Good luck.
I've seen Cocaine Bear. Don't waste your money. I lived in Lexington, Kentucky.
But have you seen Cocaine Bigfoot?
Cocaine Bigfoot. There you go.
Now here we go about deer cocaine. So we used to buy that when I was younger. So yes, and they do still sell it, don't they, Chris? We looked that up, or somebody did.
They definitely know. Like Bigfoots definitely know your intentions. Even if you want to try to lie, your face wants to lie about it. Your heart wants to lie. You're trying to act like you're in a good mood and you're out in the forest. They know. They know your heart. They can. I think they're really high vibrational beings. You know what I mean? Like they can pick up all those things. Just because we're vibrating. They're vibrating.
I found 3 trees with tree stands. 2 of them were knocked to the ground. The other tree stand was on the ground, on the bottom of the tree stand. So they don't like hunters.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that's one thing. Like my neighbors on the one side, they have like 500 acres. They're an Earth Literacy Center. They do everything for conservation that they can for the Earth. So it's like 500 acres of untouched land, little bitty gardens and stuff like that. And those a lot. They all know that the Sasquatches are there. They all know. They won't. They don't exactly say it's Sasquatch, but they say there's something out here. Yeah, people won't put names on it because they've never seen it with their eyes, so they can't be sure that's what it is, and that's fair. I know what they are, and then a few other people know. We've all seen them. My neighbors know. My really close friends, they know that they talk about it all the time. And my one neighbor, he's like, the neighbors have been getting disturbed by something up the holler. And the dogs have been going crazy late at night. And my neighbor told him, he was like, well, Sonia's telling everybody about the Bigfoots. They're probably upset, for me telling everybody about them. And I was like, I don't think they're mad. I don't think they'd be mad. They know I protect them and the other neighbors. We have all this land out here, so they know they're protected. You're trying to make me feel bad.
I want to get to the level you're at. Like the most I've done, which I think is actually pretty incredible, is they let me see them from peeking out from trees. That's about as most I really get to on a more regular level or regular occurrence. I'll see that little peek out and go back. And they started letting me see that. My son sees that. And like the other day we were out and I said, Chris, I just saw something. I'm telling you, I just saw it. And it's so quick. And you question yourself when you see it. It's like it's just whoop and then whoop.
Because you don't want to write off everything as Bigfoot. Oh, it was Bigfoot. Right. Oh, that was Bigfoot. Because then you seem very incredible. And and I try to be real meticulous about like what I like. I could take pictures all day long, but there's some stuff that's been that's older stuff that I know it's Bigfoot. I mean, other people, you all would know that. It just explaining it. I feel like you have to do a lot of explaining myself, and I've done that for years. So at this point, I don't know. I'm lazy. I'm just lying. I'm lazy. I want to
send you some stuff, Grizzly, so you can share it one time next time we're on.
Yeah.
Or I'll get it to Chris so Chris can get it over to you. However, so I think Sonia would love to see some of the pictures and some of the stuff that I have also, because you'll instantly go, oh my God, there's one.
I'm following your page. I'm friends with everybody, so you can find me.
And she's like, look at the hell. And I'm like, I'm holding still, would you?
Hey guys,
she's like, look at it. It's him. Yeah, and Chris is like, no. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, he's texting me. He's like, I'm looking at Bigfoot right now on FaceTime. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right?
And I'm like, I knew it was a female because of the hips, and it was wide.
Do you still have that? Do you have a video or anything of that?
No, she
was recording.
This is Sunday.
She just put up her phone and was like,
okay. What happened was it was coming a storm. It was coming a storm. Yeah, it was on Facebook video chat. So it was coming a storm, and I was sitting here, and the pressure changed, and I was like, it's about to hail. And I crawled over to my window, and I flipped the camera around. I was like, it's about to hail. I was like, the storm. I was showing him the storm, and I flipped it back and was looking at myself and was talking to him, and I was like, it's about to hail. And he was like, okay. And about like 2 minutes later, it started to hail. And I was like, look, it's hailing. And about the time I flipped the camera back around, lightning flashed. And it was just kind of like, she was just kind of like, oh, and she stepped out from behind the tree. She was already standing there she was wanting eggs. She watched me earlier in the day, and I didn't realize this until last night. She'd watched me earlier go down and feed the chickens and get all those eggs. So I had like 40 eggs, and she'd watched me do that, and I had come right in and didn't take no eggs out there. I came right in and sat down and started talking to Chris and was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, it's going to hail. So I was like, oh, so I crawled in my window and it started to hail. And I was like, look, I'm right. And that's what I was like. I was more tickled that I was right about it hailing because I knew it was going to hail. It's just
and I was more worried about the Sasquatch standing right there. It's like, look at that.
Did you see that? I said, did you see?
Look at that beautiful.
It was just funny too because people said, did you see that? And I said, did you see that? He said, did you see the Bigfoot? And I said, yeah. Did you see the lightning? He was like, I'm not worried about the lightning. Did you see the Bigfoot? I was like, yeah. I said, listen, Grizzly, I said, I told you when they're out there, they're out there. Like I guess I'm just like, whenever,
You're like, yeah, whatever. So,
maybe I was trying not to make eye contact because I felt bad about not bringing out eggs, and she'd watch me gather up all them eggs. She watches me all the time. She's the watcher. But she'd watch me gather up all them eggs and I didn't take any out there to them. And she was probably mad about that.
I want to try what you said with putting your hand out when you go out there, because I like to go out there by myself, and I like to
get my ass beat.
Yeah, well, Jane Goodall talked about like it's a permission thing from gorillas, and if there's an alpha male with gorillas, and these Sasquatches, they're in between humans and apes of some kind, like that whole permission thing, it's still going to resonate, They still,
you know, you're going to have to ask them for permission if you ever get married to her, right?
This marriage thing keeps coming up. This is ironic. So Ron Moorhead and I had this discussion because he's one of our admins, right? And I got me this new call blaster, and because I got a sponsor, and he was like, I wouldn't use a call blaster. And I'm like, why? He said, because I don't know what you're going to blast. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Everybody else does it. Well, I don't know if it's a mating call. I don't know if it's a fighting call.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, great, right? So now I'm going to walk out in the woods with her, and they're going to be like, who's this guy? Oh, hell no. He's gone. So if I ever disappear and you don't see any more shows, yes, what
we'll blame the Bigfoot. It was the Bigfoot.
Go down in glory, Grizzly.
Yes, I fell into a portal and disappeared.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Maybe you'll come to Florida through the portal.
Yeah. Not my luck.
You'll come out, not in my area.
I don't know.
That's take the blame off me.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I can't let nothing happen to Grizzly. People would come looking for him, and I would get blamed. And they don't do no investigation work out here. I can't have that. I'll have to keep him alive. I'll have to fight the Sasquatches off of him.
What are you close to in Tennessee? What area?
I'm an hour northeast of Knoxville.
Oh, I love Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just an hour. Like I'm an hour from Knoxville.
Cotton Eye Joe's.
Yeah. Oh, Sunday free beer night.
Isn't that where it's at, right?
Oh yeah, it's in West Knoxville. Cotton Eye Joe's.
I went there when I moved to Ohio. I went there on the way there and on the way back, and I met Jason Aldean when I was there. It was pretty cool. That's when he was touring. That's how long ago it was. That's when he was touring, going to bars, and I just met him at the Dallas Bull in Tampa. It was pretty cool.
They have the bull and everything in there if you want to ride a bull drunk.
Chris, they have their waitresses were like in assless chaps walking around. Oh, it was amazing. And they all had that accent that's just so nice. Oh my God.
Field trip.
We'll stop there. We'll stop there on the way to her place.
Hey, you know what? Let me tell you something.
Come on.
I go to a restaurant and they try that with me. I tell them straight up, you just lost money. That doesn't even work with me. Don't even try it.
Well, then I'm going to tell her, listen, honey, you can shake that for me. I will watch you. Yes, girl.
I used to call people over and they used to try that crap with me. You got an extra citation. So don't even try it. So, yes.
That's awful. You let that girl flirt with you. She's trying her best.
No.
Oh, it was the way she came up and said, she said, y'all want to buy a shot? I was like, yes. I'll buy the whole tray.
Yeah. Whatever you want. What else you got?
You guys go to the bar. I'm going to hang with Sonia.
Yes, hey baby, what's up?
No, we gotta go. We gotta go through. We can stop on the way. Then we can go up there. That's like a road trip. There.
Either before or after, one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, if you come up 75, then yeah, you would come up through Knoxville. You come right by Cotton Eye Joe's before you go to my house.
That's right off the 75.
Cotton Eye Joe's.
That's right.
That place is huge.
Yeah, it's 75 and 40 split. So it's the 75-40. I-75-40 split or whatever. So
if I was to pick another place to live, it would be Tennessee. I love Tennessee.
Yeah.
Well, before I let everybody go, Sonia, you got to tell them about the carrot cake. What happened with the juvenile and the carrot cake?
Oh, yeah, that was on somebody else's story. But yeah, somebody had fed, it was like Christmas time, and somebody had gotten their, they had gotten 2 different kinds of cakes for Christmas, like a rum cake and like a fruit cake. And the rum cake, they sat down and was going to eat some of it, and they were like, oh, there's too much rum in this rum cake. It's awful. And so they ate some of the fruit cake, and they didn't want they didn't want the rest of both of them. So they were like, well, just throw the rum cake out and put the fruit cake. And they have a gifting bucket for their family of Sasquatches on their property. And she was like, okay. So she accidentally got them mixed up. She'd accidentally put the rum cake in the bucket instead of the fruit cake. And she said her and her husband were sitting on the porch, and it was like just a little while after that, she said one of the juveniles come through their yard, shaking his head back and forth, like on all fours, speaking in tongues. She said it sounded like, and she's like, "Oh God, what's wrong with him?" And he was like, he's like, "Honey, what's wrong with it?" And she was like, "He's acting like he's drunk." And it dawned on her. She was like, "Oh, yeah." So she said she accidentally. And you don't know like how something's gonna react like that. He's probably he's probably like, you got any more of that cake?
Till the next morning.
I've been wondering about weed. I wonder if marijuana, the Indians and everything. I wonder if you go there like. Oh my
God! I knew that was coming.
Hit me up. I'll tell you a story.
You give them pop brownies.
Kids are right here.
Now we know why there's a hammock way up there in the trees.
I have my card.
The answer is yes.
Oh my Lord!
I have my card, so I might have to go try this like a peace pipe. Hey, offering. Put my hand out as I'm smoking.
Oh
yeah, we grow hemp up here. We have a hemp farm too, so they get a lot of extras. That we're supposed to burn a lot of it, but a lot of the leaves and stuff. I take them out there. I hope nobody's listening. I didn't do that.
Oh yeah, the CIA's
the hemp leaves. Like when we extract all the hemp, and they love them. They love them. The chickens love them. The goats. Some of the goats are hit and miss, but the Sasquatches love it.
That's great. See, Chris, I told you I've been wanting to try that. That's what I've been missing, guys. So next time, we're gonna offer.
Bring a bud out there.
We're gonna offer some peace pipe.
Make up some brownies.
Yeah, there you go. Ruby, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, you're on it. Gonna make some brownies.
I feel like the Sasquatches be dressed up in suits, knocking on your door, just standing there with the empty pans, like.
That's what she wasn't telling you. That's the real secret. That's how you come out and say hi to you. Yeah. Like,
they know. Why do you think you get more? That's what, Washington and Northern California have all those sightings.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast, you've heard tonight. I enjoyed them. I'm glad y'all have been on the show. It's been too long, ladies and gentlemen.
I know it has been.
It's been way too long.
And these
for audio listeners or tomorrow morning on the way to work or whatever they're doing. What is today? I have no idea what today is. Yeah, so they're going to be in stitches. I can hear them now. So yes, I mean this is all over audio, by the way. So I've got all that upgraded. You're on Apple, Google, everything. Awesome. You name it, you're on it. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how did everybody get a hold of you again?
Okay, so we have the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group on Facebook. Thank you, Chris. We also we have a YouTube channel by the same name, Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. And we also have a website where anybody can go read our bios. You can look at our research gallery of photos and see a bunch of the podcasts and publications we've been in. And that website is midfloridabigfoot.com. So feel free to go take a look at that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see, the things that we've done. Check out the David Shealy research, Skunk Ape research study that we did. It's there too. So that's about it. So thank you, Grizzly.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. And
well, as always,
Ruby, Maria, Chris, Mike, Sonia. Sonia, you got a show coming up in the next few minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. I might be able to eat a piece of pizza in between here.
You got plenty of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a good night and God bless. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No, we're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!